Happy Mahashivaratri, everyone. I will explain what Mahashivaratri is in another video. Just go ahead, look it up. I'll type it down below in the description box. It's Shiva's big day, basically, or big night. It's an all-night vigil in celebration. Not everybody does it these days, especially if they're no longer living in India. A lot of temples don't stay open the whole night. I am at the Sri Ganesha Temple in Nashville, Tennessee. They did a special puja for the event, which includes a Shiva Lingam Abhishekam. So I will write that in the description box too, so you can look it up. It's a beautiful bathing ceremony of a lingam, which is an object that represents Shiva. Shiva also represents consciousness. And yes, he is, one of the big gods, per se. So we have Brahma, who is the creator, Vishnu, the preserver, and Shiva, the destroyer. And those three are constantly working, right? All together. It's cyclical. But Shiva is pure consciousness as well. So what I wanted to do in this video was talk about authenticity and connect that with Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva is like the destroyer, right? Like I said, that's a very simplistic way of describing him. But I don't want you to look at destruction as like, oh, it's chaos and it has a negative connotation to it, because it's actually a very beautiful thing, right? If things cannot be destroyed, then nothing can be recreated or renewed, and things can grow past their use, right? Become stagnant and actually rot. So destruction allows for new growth and opportunities. So Shiva is great because he's allowing you, if you can destroy the ego, you can destroy and throw away that which is useless and holding you back from stepping up into your higher self or gaining transcendental consciousness, right? That's a great thing that you have this opportunity to do that. And so Shiva represents that opportunity. And he shows you the way to, cut the ego off, the head of the ego off, and allow your true self to blossom and grow. Okay. Some, denominations in Hinduism see Shiva as the absolute and the almighty. That's the beautiful thing about Hinduism, is that they see God everywhere, okay? And they're just very, very accepting, maybe to a fault sometimes. But Shiva allows you to, again, destroy that which is useless and holding you back, and to grow into your transcendental higher self. So how does that connect to authenticity? Well, in today's age, I'm going to use the term fake it till you make it. That is what the majority of people live by. And we all do, to some degree. And sometimes it is useful. It gets you going. It propels you forward, right, to the next step in your journey. And sometimes it's a confidence booster, right? So it helps you attain and achieve things, move forward, like I said, in your journey. But it's become very problematic to the point where the fake it till you make it is what drives, well, I should say it's the operating system that most people live by. And I see it all the time, and I think that's why I've suffered disappointment and heartbreak with certain people, because I can see the potential in them. All right, I can see it. It's a very beautiful thing. It's a blessing and a curse to see that, and to not be good at faking it till you make it. But I see that potential in people and I try to, extract it, not for my gain, not to take it, but to say, okay, let's nurture that, right? Let's water that seed. Let's get it to blossom. The fact is most people aren't ready to do that. It sounds appealing, it sounds enticing and intoxicating even. But most people aren't ready for that because, like Carl Jung said, once you start diving deep into your psyche and into your soul, you start to go down a hallway of many doors. And some of those doors might make you unravel. And that is very, very true. And I actually quoted him a lot in my first thesis. So, excuse me. So a lot of people, they want to be their most authentic self. But the other problem is not that it's just to look inward, introspect, reflect, and process all that. Not only is that scary, but then you have all these societal norms that are trying to dictate what is normal, what is okay. And especially in certain cultures and subcultures, even within America. Like I'm thinking like even in the South, right, where you have a lot of Southern Baptists and evangelical Christians. And I'm not criticizing any group here. I'm just saying those cultural norms and even standards or parameters and requirements are very strong. They're very strict. So for someone to break out of that, it's very difficult, right? And sometimes I forget that because I'm seeing a person's potential, right? But as a side note, appreciate everybody that you come into contact with, but don't just bow to anybody and give them all of your respect and all of your love because of their potential. No, fall in love with them for who they actually are, because you will most likely be disappointed. And it is not any of our jobs to try to nurture that seed. We can offer, our insight and our experience and our knowledge. We can share that, but really they got to take the reins on that. It's up to them. I think a lot of us make that mistake. We fall in love with someone, and it doesn't have to be like romantic love. It can be platonic and familial. And we just want to help them, right? We want to say, hey, this is what you're capable of. So let me try to help you get there. And I think a lot of us that go into healthcare, especially mental health care, social work, that is it's a blessing and it's a curse. But we got to watch ourselves with that. So back to authenticity though. This fake it till you make it culture, I see it happen so many times. People don't want to face the reality within or push back on the norms and expectations of themselves or others onto them. And what they end up doing is they sacrifice those opportunities to figure out who they are, to introspect, reflect, process, digest, and then to nurture, engineer their true authentic selves. And it's understandable in this day and age, but it's a really hard thing to witness. It really is. And I know some of you know what I'm talking about. So what a lot of people do, let's say you take somebody that wasn't really cool growing up, right, in their younger years, especially K through 12, maybe even college a little bit. When they move away after graduating high school or college, especially if they move geographic locations, excuse me, that is a way for them, it's an opportunity for them to be like, well, nobody knows that I'm not cool. So I am going to reinvent myself, and I'm going to do all these things to improve my cool factor, my coolness, right? And I've seen these people, and it's I'm even friends with some of them, where they're good people, right? They're not malicious, malevolent people, but and this is just an example. I'm not just singling out like nerds and geeks or anything like that. I mean, I'm not like a super cool person, but at the same time, I don't give a crap. Like, think what y'all want. But as an example, these people that try to reinvent themselves to be cool, they may do so, they may be successful, but for any of you that are really good at people watching and sizing people up, and a lot of people that are in mental health care are good at this, you'll notice when people, whether it's this kind of person or someone that's basically not, they're not being their authentic self, you can see it. You can sniff it out. It just, something seems off, right? It just doesn't quite fit. And other people, I think, get fooled by this. And again, I'm not just talking about like people who are trying to be cool, but people that are trying, maybe they weren't like, super beautiful growing up, or they didn't know that they were beautiful growing up, right? And they go through a divorce or something like that, or, they develop fully physically, and it's like, wow, yeah, actually, this is a good looking person. You see these people that are now trying to embody something that isn't quite natural. And for people like us, you'll spot it a mile away. But everybody else who is faking it till they make it, they gravitate towards each other. So you have the uncool person that's now cool, suddenly like a cool person. And then you have the person who wasn't really like hot or super pretty growing up or handsome. They start to gravitate towards each other now because they both at a deep level recognize, oh, you're faking it till you make it too? Okay, let's do it together. And it's not even them, it's people also that don't want to face certain things, certain hard truths. It's too hard for them. Their brains can't handle it. Most of us, like, we do that at some point, at least in our lives. I've done it, where it's like, I can't deal with this right now. I'm just going to pretend like everything I'm doing is okay. I'm fine. I'm okay. Don't freak out. And that wasn't too long ago where I thought I knew what I was doing, but I was in survival mode. I was not being my most authentic self. I was operating in my probably reptilian brain in many ways, but I debased myself. I stepped out of my higher self and told myself, no, dog, you're doing all right. You just keep doing what you're doing. You're doing all right. And it took me a lot of hardships and heartbreak, so a lot of things externally happened to me, but I also didn't make it better. And I chose to do certain things that put me in these situations, these predicaments. But it wasn't until like things really like hit the fan, and it started to like wake me up, like it was like a slap in the face, like, wake up. You are not operating in your higher self. You haven't been. You're not being your most authentic self. So a lot of people that are easygoing and fun, I see a lot of couples, I know a lot of couples who they may not come together in the right circumstances, in the right timing, but they force it to happen. And it's because they're both faking it till they make it. Hey, you know what? We weren't happy in that, our old situation, but let's be happy together. Everything's fine. Everything's okay. And everything's great, actually. Let's go out to all these cool bars and restaurants. Let's go on trips. Let's buy each other like expensive or nice gifts. Let's keep up with what everybody else is doing who's also faking it till they make it and look super happy and successful, right? When I was living in a very rich suburb in Western Pennsylvania before I came down to Alabama. This is right in the peak of COVID. Lots of people making 6, 7 figures in this neighborhood. I wasn't one of them. But anyways, one of the neighbors decided to put in a $4 million, that's right, $4 million cascading pool in their backyard with a cabana bar. Like, that's how you're spending your money during COVID? Like, what kind of job do you have or life do you have that is like so stressful and awful that, you know what, this is what I'm going to do? But as I've said, if I will stand by whatever you choose to do in life, as long as it doesn't trespass and trample over someone else's God-given natural constitutional rights, you do you, man. That's how you want to spend your money, especially during this crappy time. You do you. But see, that most of those people weren't living their most authentic selves. And I know because I've seen them at the parties. And it's all a mask. It's all a facade. So a lot of these people come together and they fake it till they make it, filling their lives up with all these things that they cannot take with them when they leave. And people will argue, yeah, but all the memories, fake memories, those are fabricated happiness, moments of happiness. That's not genuine. Sometimes they might be, but most of the time, no, it isn't. So a lot of these people, I'll just reinforce, a lot of these people come together because they recognize in a deep soul level, oh, you don't want to face the ugliness within yourself or within reality of your life. So you're going to fake it till you make it. So am I. Let's do this together. It will be so much easier if we do it together, and then we can show the world how happy people can be. I see right through that. And so do a lot of other people. Well, I shouldn't say a lot, but I would say there's a good portion of people who see right through that facade, right through that smoke and mirrors. This is not, it's sounding like a criticism, and I apologize. I honestly, truly do. A little jaded about that. Really what it is it's frustration, because I really want all of you to just start getting this into your head. I don't care what other people think. I'm going to live my most authentic self as long as I am not disregarding the rights of others. So I am going to live my most authentic self as long as I'm not disregarding the rights of others. Okay? Please start trying to introspect, reflect. If everybody starts doing this, and I touched on this in an earlier video, if everybody can start stepping into their higher self and working on it, no one's going to become like, super guru and like, we'll all heal the world together like that. As long as we're making that strong effort towards that, the more people that are doing that, this world will get a lot better. But it is Kali Yuga. It's like I've indicated in a previous video, it's like the hardest period of time to live in. And people are just material based. And some people will argue too. Yes, true. I don't have kids. Hopefully one day. If I have to be a single dad to make it happen, then so be it. But I have kids though. You don't understand. Let me ask you something. So we'll use America as an example. When we were fighting for our independence from the biggest empire at that time, ragtag team, right, of nobodies, who had families, who had land, all right, said, F it. This tyranny, this authoritarianism can't stand. I know some people are going to argue like, oh, they're a bunch of white supremacists or something like that. Okay, I'm not here to debate that kind of stuff. You can pick any other place in history in the world where people have risen up against their oppressors and risen up for their freedom. And dollars to donuts, most of those people had things that they didn't want to lose or put in harm's way. But they knew that they had to. And this is what really irritates me, is that so many people did not have a backbone when it came to the COVID mandates, jab or job. Just everybody bent the knee because you all fell into one of three camps probably. You didn't want to lose all the things you had. You didn't want your family to be, inconvenienced in some way. So that's one group. You actually were so scared that you believed all of it, or you were one of the few people that were pulling the strings to get us all to bend the knee or to divide us. I know that's probably going to be a very unpopular opinion among many of you so far that I've seen on social media, and that's okay. That's your right to believe, think, say whatever you want, okay? So what leads me to this video is being my most authentic self. I stepped back after I got beat up left and right. And so many people disowned me for sticking up for those values. And then I went into a dark, cave or hole and just wallowed. That wasn't my most authentic self. That was me debasing and lowering myself. My most authentic self, and this is what patience, I've heard this time and time again. I like working with Justin because he genuinely cares. He's authentic. I try. And it's funny how so many people in the past have gravitated towards that energy that I give off by being authentic. But then when S gets real, poo-poo and crap gets real, oh no, I can't handle this. I don't want to go through that. I don't want to put my kids through that. I'm going to tell you this, and again, this is going to be an unpopular opinion among many people, but all those people in the past who have stood up against tyranny, sorry, I just saw another devotee. We were talking earlier. That makes me happy when I'm here and see people that recognize me, and they're just, yeah. I like this community. So, anyways, kind of forgot what I was saying there, but I'm going to wrap this up anyways because it's getting long. When it comes to your kids, and this is my opinion, and maybe I'll change it once I have kids, if and when I have kids. I doubt it, though. If anybody knows me, I've always been this way. So I highly doubt it. And I pray to God, the gods that I don't change. But what kind of example do you want to set for your kids? To just, hey, fake it till you make it, because then everything will be great. You'll be fine. Don't worry. Or be your most authentic self. And be proud of it, right? Be proud of being your most authentic self. So that's all that, I'm going to leave it right there. Y'all may not believe it, but I truly, truly do wish you all the best on your journeys. All right, you don't have to believe in what I believe in, especially with Hinduism and Shiva, but just maybe take a moment tonight. I'm going to be staying up all night. It's important for us to stay up all night, like devotees. A lot of energy goes up through your chakras and your nadis, and Kundalini energy, Kriya Yoga. So, and I'll talk about that more in the future. So I'm going to be up all night, doing an observance vigil, meditating, praying, doing some yoga, actual physical yoga, and but I do wish that you all take a moment just to introspect and ask yourself, am I living my most authentic life? And if you do want to try to live your most authentic life, I'm not saying just quit everything and throw it in the can and try to start over. Just take your time with it, because sometimes it's not your intuition that's talking to you. It's a knee-jerk reaction from your lower self. You need to listen to both of them because both are teaching you a message, but try to decipher which is authentic intuition and which is my maybe trauma response or my insecure response. and then go from there. Slowly build on that. Make a plan. I wish you all the best. I truly do. Hara Hara Mahadeva. Blessings to you all. Have a good night.